because here we have people from all generations. So in my generation, when I was young, probably when someone asked you, what is 1 plus 1? The answer had to be 2. There can't be no other answer apart from the 2. If you answer anything else, you are considered to be dumb. But today, the same question asked like a millennial, like Pranav, or anyone, there's so many millennials, Gen X, Gen Y, millennials, the answer can be anything other than 2 also. And the society, not just the society, the whole ecosystem accepts that. You all agree with me with that? Yeah? I'll also demonstrate at the end of this session how this is possible or what makes it say that it is possible. So that's fast. So next, we are here in BNI to generate referrals to grow our business. There is no second thought about it, correct? And referral is an emotional process. Unless somebody connects to another person emotionally, the referral is not going to come. Yep. It's not logical to get a referral. It is emotional to get a referral. Now, when I say emotional connect, what is that emotion? One emotion which makes somebody pass a referral. Trust. Thank you so much. Trust. So trust, again I say, just like if I answer 1 plus 1 is 2, which is an old school, if I just say trust, which we learned in MSP, our own MSP, I would still say we could be old school. So then what next? If trust is something, then what next? This is where I would like to introduce you to a book by Stephen Covey called Speed of Trust. It's a wonderful book which got sold over 2 million copies. It's called Speed of Trust. It is not just about the trust, it's about speed of trust. I'll give you a simple example. When Warren Buffett wanted to invest in Walmart, he was able to meet and shake hands in 4 hours. In just 4 hours, he was able to meet and shake hands. In 30 days, they completed their due diligence and Warren Buffett was already in the board and already as an investor to Walmart. That is the speed of trust. Now, I'll tell you where is it actually? We all have at one point of time traveled in air. Is it correct? You all agree? Yes. I don't know if many of you remember, there was a time when you could just go 30 minutes your flight time and still board the flight. Yes or no? Yes. Domestic, 30 minutes before. International, just 1.5 hours, 2 hours before. What happened after 9/11? Today, even to take a domestic flight, nothing less than 2 hours. Even if you go 2 hours before, you have chance of missing the flight. For an international flight, nothing less than 4 or 5 hours. 5 hours. You have to invest 5 hours before. This is where the lack of trust actually. So am I only talking about the society or is it in business also? Yes, it happens in business also. We all know the famous story of Reliance, who had invested in Big Bazaar. Also Amazon, who had invested in Big Bazaar. When the transaction had to happen, Kishore Biyani was in fix and even the court could not decide what caused it. This is where, it's a lack of trust. And where it ended? Delay, closure of over 900 outlets, job loss, and actually because it's a big company like Reliance, nobody is putting an amount, but everybody knows they had to bleed. Both job loss as well as closure of 900 units, over 900 units, and money. So this is what lack of trust precisely means. Now, this is where Stephen Covey says, trust is the new currency of independent and collaborative world. Are we all part of the independent and collaborative world in the first place? We are in a business network organization and we are part of the independent and collaborative world, and trust is the currency. There is nothing else working but the trust. So what happens when there is no trust? When there is a trust issue, it takes longer time, it's going to cost more. It takes longer time and it's going to cost more. And what happens if there is a trust? Work gets through the people. See, whether you are working, whether you are a vendor or you are vendor to a company, end of the day, you are dealing with people. Is that correct? And the backbone of the people is trust. The backbone of the people is trust. Now, what do I mean by speed of trust? Now, here comes the key point. First, I would like to talk about some of the symptoms. where there is lack of trust, yeah, or where there is trust. You will understand both. See, there are three things which is important if you have to work with any person in this room or any vendor outside this world. There are three things: engagement, execution, and change. Is that correct? Either you are part of bringing in the change, or you are part of the execution, or you are part of the engagement. Now, when there is lack of trust, it results in disengagement, lethargy in execution, or resistance to change. Now, this will lead to what? How do you see this? How do you actually, you are trying to deal with someone, and how do you seal this? Non-committed, blaming, gossip, yeah, and then hidden agenda. When you find this, when you're trying to tackle somebody, when you're trying to deal somebody, when you're trying to propose something, if you come across non-commitment, blaming, and then hidden agenda or gossip, then there is severe lack of trust. Now, this is where actually will lead to suspicion, yeah, and then divisiveness, and then destruction. These are not just plain words. This is what typically happens. Now, what happens if there is a trust in the place? What happens if the trust is in place? It leads to creativity and synergy. Exactly the opposite is actually when people have trust, the moment, leads to creativity and synergy. Not only that, there are few more points, but how do you build a trust? Today, my goal of, idea of sharing this with you is not to tell you how to do that. There are 13 points to do that. If you feel you are listening to me, and if you are following me, then feel free to message me personally. I'll send you those list of 13 items which will help you to build the trust. That is outside this education. But what I would like to say is, now, trust, what happens? Trust leverages the collisions. Basically, wherever the destructives, the suspicion, destruction, all these actually, it will leverage the differences in collusion. Trust enables collaboration, partnering, team building, and then trust actually creates environment of learning. Is this what we are actually doing in BNI? This is precisely learning together, and then trust creates speed. Trust creates speed. This is what we are talking about. Now, even in Silicon Valley, there is a famous line which says, even if you have to fail, they trust any enterprise. Even if you have to fail, they use the word fail fast. So failing is also okay, but fail fast so that the cost incurred is less. You can move on. You can actually take up the next, you can actually recover yourself. So failing fast is important. Now, why all this shift? I'm talking about an old generation person, a Gen X, Gen Y, and I'm talking about the millennials. Why is this? The way we are educated, the way we know the education we came from, the kind of background we came from. The most important was command and control. I'll give you a small example. Even if you're running a small printing press, if you have a small boy who is not even educated, who is only cutting the papers, there was a time when somebody could actually command and control that person. But tell me honestly, today is it possible? The same person, can you even command and control him? Gone are the days. Forget about the people who are well educated, forget about the people who come from a different background, but anyone, you cannot control and command anyone. Actually, what the millennials are looking at is a different kind of a leadership. They don't like to be managed. In this room, we are dealing with everyone. I have millennials. Even I need reference from millennials. Even millennials need to do business with me. Then how do I do it? I do it with a different style. I don't have to manage them. Even if they are in my organization, I never have to manage them. Rather than, I have to lead, I have to trust, I have to inspire them. That is the only way I can work across the board and do it. Now, what will this translate to? Now, where am I coming to? What is the background I'm talking about all these things, the leadership and the mindset? Why am I talking about all these things? Here, I would like to end this with actually, now it is like, if I'm trying to still be in old school, then what happens? It is like playing tennis with a golf stick. You know what is the outcome of it. If I'm still in the old school, it is like playing tennis with a golf stick. Now, coming back to the point of where I started, 1 + 1 need not be 2. I would like to end this with a real example of BNI itself. The closest region, one of the closest regions to us, Hubli. Yeah, we all know Hubli. Started quite recently. I would like to pick some few statistics from Hubli and see how these things can actually happen and how 1 plus 1 can be more than 2 is what I'm going to establish. See, in 2019, they had 159 members and they clocked 38 crores of business annually. In 2019, with 159 members, they cracked 39 crores of thank you note for closed business is what they clocked. They did grow steadily. In 2020, they added a chapter, 5th chapter. 21, they added the 6th chapter. 22, cut short to the 2021. There are 7 chapters now with 321 members. Precisely, they have doubled. Now, ideally, the business should have moved from 38 crores to 80 crores, 85 crores, 90 crores. No, they have clocked 150 crores. That is the potential. See, it is 4x. It is 4x. It is not just 1 plus 1. It is not that, 30 people doing 38 crores with 150 people. The moment you double, the average seat value has gone up significantly. They've added people in the chapters. They've added new chapters. The seat value has only grown. So, unless we keep this growth mindset in our mind, whether it is for our chapter, whether it is our region, whether Mysore has 400, and I don't know how many of you remember, because President keeps telling how much business Mysore has done in the last 12 months. Any idea? How much?
120 crores.
126 crores is what we did, and Hubli has done 150 crores. And we all know that that's also a sleepy town. Yeah, little bit of much ahead of, they're closer to Maharashtra, there is an industrialization, but we all have our own advantages. We are closer to Coimbatore, it's up to us what we do. Yeah, lot of regions. So I would like to end this with a thought in your mind that, how do we actually participate in the right way? By building the team, or, by being that, increasing the speed of trust. I'm going to take my business not just to 1x, 2x, 4 and 5x. Thank you and have a wonderful networking time. Thank you.